The year is 2014. The world watches as a terrifying new threat emerges from the forests of West Africa. Ebola, a deadly hemorrhagic fever, rears its ugly head once more. This is not the first time the virus has emerged, but it is the most significant. This outbreak is different, more aggressive, more relentless. It begins quietly, almost unnoticed, in the rural areas of Guinea. But the virus, with its deadly efficiency, will soon make its presence known across the globe. The early days are marked by confusion and fear. Information is scarce, resources even more so. The virus, however, knows no such limitations. It spreads silently, person to person, through contact with bodily fluids. What begins as a whisper of an outbreak soon grows into a roar that will echo across continents. The world watches, holding its breath as the crisis unfolds. August 2014. The lazy days of summer are shattered by the growing realization of the crisis in West Africa. The Ebola outbreak, once a distant concern, begins to dominate headlines. The World Health Organization, or WHO, reports a surge in cases, overwhelming the already strained healthcare systems of Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. The world watches in horror as the death toll climbs with terrifying speed. Each day brings news of more cases, more deaths, and a growing sense of dread. The virus, it seems, is unstoppable. The international community, slow to react, begins to mobilize resources. But the response, many argue, is too little, too late. The virus, taking advantage of every delay, continues its deadly march. August 2014 serves as a harrowing prelude to the devastation that is to come. The world watches as the virus, once confined to West Africa, begins to cross borders. On August 24, 2014, a chilling reminder of the virus's reach hits close to home for the United Kingdom. William Pooley, a young British nurse volunteering in Sierra Leone, tests positive for Ebola. Pooley, driven by compassion and a desire to help, becomes the face of the crisis in the UK. His story grips the nation. Here is a young man, selfless and courageous, struck down by a terrifying illness in a distant land. Pooley's evacuation to the UK, while offering a glimmer of hope for his recovery, underscores the global threat posed by the virus. No longer a distant concern, Ebola has arrived on British soil. The fear is palpable, a stark reminder of the virus's indiscriminate reach. As if the outbreak in West Africa were not enough, another front opens in the fight against Ebola. On August 26, 2014, the Democratic Republic of Congo, or DRC, confirms its own unrelated outbreak. This outbreak, while geographically separate, adds another layer of complexity to the growing crisis. The DRC, already grappling with internal conflicts and a fragile healthcare system, now faces a new and deadly enemy. The strain of Ebola in the DRC is different from the one ravaging West Africa. This distinction, while important, offers little comfort. The virus, in all its forms, is a formidable foe. The DRC's outbreak, though smaller in scale, highlights the widespread vulnerability to Ebola. It is a stark reminder that the virus recognizes no borders, no boundaries, and no political divides. Section 5. A plea for help. Médecins Sans Frontières sounds the alarm. On August 27, 2014, Médecins Sans Frontières, an organization on the front lines of the crisis, issues a stark warning to the world. The international response, they argue, is dangerously inadequate. MSF, known for its courage and commitment to providing medical care in crisis zones, does not mince words. The world, they declare, is failing West Africa. The organization criticizes the slow response, the lack of resources, and the global complacency in the face of a growing catastrophe. Their plea for help is a desperate call to action, a moral imperative for the world to wake up and take notice. MSF's statement serves as a turning point, forcing the international community to confront the gravity of the situation. The time for complacency is over. The world must act, and act swiftly, to prevent a global health crisis. Section 6. Fear and misinformation. Riots erupt in Guinea. The Ebola outbreak is not just a medical crisis, it is a crisis of fear and misinformation. On August 29, 2014, riots erupt in the streets of Nzerekore, Guinea. Fueled by rumors and distrust, the riots are a symptom of a deeper fear that has gripped the region. Ebola, with its gruesome symptoms and high mortality rate, has created a climate of terror. Rumors spread like wildfire, further complicating the response efforts. Some believe the virus is a hoax, a fabrication of the government. Others believe that Western aid workers are the ones spreading the disease. These rumors, while unfounded, have a devastating impact. They undermine trust in healthcare workers and hinder efforts to contain the outbreak. The riots in Guinea are a stark reminder of the devastating impact of fear and misinformation in the face of a health crisis. Section 7. The crisis spreads. Senegal confirms its first case. August 29, 2014 marks another grim milestone in the Ebola outbreak. Senegal, a nation on the western edge of West Africa, confirms its first case of the virus. The news sends shockwaves throughout the region. The virus, it seems, is relentless, spreading its reach further and further afield. Senegal, with its relatively stable government and stronger healthcare system, becomes a test case for containment. The world watches closely, hoping that the nation can prevent a widespread outbreak. Senegal's response is swift and decisive. Contact tracing is implemented, isolation wards are established, public awareness campaigns are launched. The nation's ability to contain the virus, while a testament to its own preparedness, does little to quell the growing global anxiety. The Ebola outbreak is no longer just a West African problem, it is a global threat that demands a coordinated international response. Section 8. The world takes notice. A slow awakening to a global threat. As the month of August draws to a close, the world finally begins to grasp the true magnitude of the Ebola crisis. The World Health Organization, often criticized for its slow response, declares the outbreak a public health emergency of international concern. This declaration, while long overdue, serves as a wake-up call to the international community. Governments and organizations around the world pledge support, promising financial aid, medical supplies, and personnel. The United States, under the leadership of President Barack Obama, commits significant resources to the fight against Ebola. The European Union follows suit, pledging millions of euros in aid. The world, it seems, is finally ready to act, but the question remains, is it too little, too late? Section 9. The price of inaction, a harbinger of the catastrophe to come. The events of August 2014 serve as a tragic prelude to one of the deadliest Ebola outbreaks in history. The slow response, the lack of resources, and the initial complacency of the international community all contribute to the devastating toll of the virus. By the time the world fully mobilizes, the virus has already taken a firm hold. Thousands will lose their lives in the coming months. The economies of Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone will be crippled. The world will watch in horror as the virus ravages West Africa. The lessons learned from this outbreak are both painful and profound. The world must never again be caught unprepared in the face of such a threat. Section 10. Lessons learned, the importance of early response and global cooperation. The Ebola outbreak of 2014 is a stark reminder of the importance of early response and global cooperation in the face of a health crisis. The world learned at a terrible cost that infectious diseases know no borders. A threat to one is a threat to all. The outbreak highlighted the crucial role of organizations like Médecins Sans Frontières, who are often the first on the ground in crisis zones. It also underscored the need for robust healthcare systems, particularly in developing countries. The outbreak forced the world to confront the devastating impact of poverty, inequality, and lack of access to healthcare. The lessons learned from this crisis continue to shape global health policies today. The world must remain vigilant, prepared to respond swiftly and decisively to future threats. Section 11. A legacy of resilience. Remembering the victims and honoring the heroes. The Ebola outbreak of 2014 is a story of tragedy, but it is also a story of resilience, courage, and the unwavering spirit of humanity. We remember the victims, those who lost their lives to this terrible disease. We honor the healthcare workers, the doctors, nurses, and volunteers who risked their own lives to save others. They are the true heroes of this story. The outbreak brought out the best in humanity, reminding us of the importance of compassion, empathy, and solidarity. It also exposed the deep inequalities and systemic challenges that perpetuate vulnerability to such crises. As we move forward, we must carry with us the lessons learned and the memories of those lost. We must strive to build a more just and equitable world, one where everyone has access to the healthcare they need and where we are all united in our commitment to global health security.